Pre-application for federal student aid, also known as FAFSA, of last year, it was touted to be shorter, simpler, and a way to get more students eligible for those financial aid dollars. It came with a few problems, and that may not change much this year. Don Gee has more for those high school seniors and their parents who are making plans for those college dreams and also finding a way to make ends meet for those ambitions.
Applications generally open October 1st for the largest source of aid available for students. Students have not been able to apply on October 1st for FAFSA since the Simplification Act to make the amount of aid your student is eligible for more transparent and predictable. Sometimes things just don't go as planned.
All students should be working on finding an affordable path to college for themselves to avoid taking on debt.
Jennifer Finetti, Director of Outreach and Advocacy for Scholarship OWL, a personalized scholarship matching service and management tool, is pleading with students to get started with their college application and funding right now.
Apply for scholarships and jobs, not loans. Seniors have to start getting ready for college immediately.
According to a recent survey by Scholarship OWL, 88% of senior respondents they talked to had plans to go to college. However, when asked, do you have enough money? Only 5% reported they had secured the funds. 95%, an overwhelming majority, indicated they did not have the money.
So you do need to submit your FAFSA, right, to qualify for federal financial aid.
Your FAFSA application is your key to open the door to college grants, work-study funds, federal student loans, as well as certain state-based aid and some scholarships. There is a FAFSA warning once again.
For students who are fearful about some of the challenges that were experienced last year, it may be happening again. As you might recall, last year it didn't open till the end of December, and this year they're saying it will not open until December again.
Federal officials have promised a fully functional form on or before the start of December, but that puts students behind as they reach out for the largest source of aid available.
But you do want to make sure you get it in, regardless of what's going on technically with that application.
Seniors have more homework than what the teacher has assigned.
Depending on where you want to go to school, if you're a high school senior, you should already be working on your college applications.
Among the students answering Scholarship OWL's recent Paying for College survey for 2024-2025, they were not waiting for free money. The vast majority were willing to work and save for their college degree. Finetti believes that's a good place to start.
So you also want to apply for scholarships. You want to start saving money. If you don't have a job, you should get an after-school job and start saving money that way. A dream school is not a school that is really elite and hard to get into. A dream school is one you can afford.
Finetti stresses there are a number of steps that students can take to ease the financial burden of a higher education.
One way to avoid taking on a significant amount of debt is by starting at community college. Your first 2 years of college can be really low cost.
The amount you save during those 2 years may also give you the chance to earn some money toward your college expenses.
If you do need to take on student debt, focus on taking on federal student loans only and not private student loans.
Now, experts say go ahead and apply, but if you miss your college or state deadline, it's still worth the effort of filling out the FAFSA and submitting it. Some states and schools may still have funds to provide to late applicants, but the amount you receive is likely to be lower than it would have been if you applied before the final deadline.